I'm Randy Finley,
And I'm April Finley, Randy's wife.
and we've been coming to Life Church for 15 years now. So I was not a Christian. I didn't grow up as a Christian. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. The only time I ever went to church when I was a kid was with my grandparents. And I had a guy on a rig. I was probably guessing 30 years old. And one of my friends on the rig, him and his wife bought me a Bible and they put my name on it. And they made a little bookmark on there that said, Randy Finley, may God bless you every time you read this book. And I didn't believe in God, didn't want to talk about God. So I thought, man, I want to throw this Bible away, but I can't because they put my name on it and I felt guilty about it. So I said, I'm going to read this book and find things in this book that's wrong and prove to this guy that he's wrong. So I've been reading that book for probably 30 years now, and I haven't found that thing that was wrong yet. So that's how my Christian walk started. I literally started by thinking I'm smarter than God and I'm going to prove him wrong, and that never happened. So I start reading the Bible. I become a Christian. I find me a church home to go to, and during this time, I'm still a sinner, just like all of us are. I'm still cussing, still drinking, but I wasn't convicted about it. And I had a really good tool pusher at the time. He was a mentor of mine. I won't say his name, but me and him were talking in the driller shack one day. And this guy was my mentor because he wasn't perfect. Like when I would see this guy, he didn't cuss all the time. He was a good supervisor, but when the situation would heat up on the drill floor, something was happening, he would slip and say a cuss word. And then I would hear him, he would go into the back corner, and I could hear him talking to God saying, Lord, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. So I thought I could relate to this man. If that makes sense, I could relate to him. He wasn't perfect, he was struggling. So that initially got me interested. Man, I want to talk to this guy. So anyway, I'm talking to him about my walk with God, how I'm reading the Bible, and we start talking about my convictions. And he said, well, what do you feel convicted about? I said, well, I've got the things I want to work on. I think God wants me to work on is my cussing. I speak like a sailor, and I drink. I said, but I'm not really convicted about that yet. He said, well, let's start with the cussing. If you're convicted about cussing, stop cussing. God is going to work on you like an onion. He's going to peel you like an onion. He's going to work on one thing at a time. But he said, keep drinking. If drinking doesn't bother you, you don't feel convicted, keep drinking. But when you feel convicted about drinking, you better listen to God when he starts talking to you. So I always remembered him telling me that. So fast forward here, I'm working off toward 29 years, going to church, establishing my relationship with God, best that I know how, but I'm still drinking. So I'm working on the cussing. That got way better, but I'm still not perfect. I'm still a human being. But I'm in this man cave. I'm having parties. When I say parties, we're watching football games, just the normal stuff that men do. We're not drunks where we're fighting each other and all that. People call it happy drunks. We were having football games, having UFC parties. 30 people in this room, all watching fights, drinking beer. And I was usually standing right here. I remember this all the time. I would be standing up, 30 people talking, different conversations happening, and I would get convicted. And the conviction was, this is not what you're supposed to be doing, basically. So I was standing in here and I felt the conviction from God saying, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, this is not what I blessed you with. I blessed you with this job. I gave you everything you have. And I always knew that God gave me everything I had. But he said, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I felt convicted that I'm in this room with all of my friends and family. We're having a good time. But I read in the Bible, I was reading my Bible, and I read in the Bible that there was like 5 people, I can't remember the exact quote of the Bible, but it was 5 people the good Lord will not allow into heaven: drunkards, fornicators, and I can't remember all of them. But I thought to myself, and I prayed about it, I said, God, you will send me to hell for drinking. And I just felt the conviction of that he wouldn't send me to hell. Like, I'm sending myself to hell. He lays out in the Bible what I'm supposed to be doing. And this, I don't want people in the church to take this like I'm preaching at anybody that may be watching this video. This is strictly my convictions, what I felt. That he just didn't want me doing that. He didn't. The life I was living, being a good drunk, was not a biblical way to live. It wasn't a good example for my children. At the same time that this is going on, I'm having these convictions. I keep drinking, I keep having parties, but these convictions won't stop. And then I had a friend who was an atheist. He was a friend of mine from years ago, but he starts hanging out again, and we're talking, and I bring up Christianity to him. He's a drinker like me, and he doesn't want to talk about that. He's like, Randy, I appreciate that you're a Christian, but I'm an atheist. And, so I said, no problem. But he was a very intelligent guy. So fast forward a couple years, I'm still getting these convictions. I'm still sinning, still having my parties. And this kid, this guy tells me, he said, man, I want to go to church with you. And this blew me away that this kid said this to me. So I was like, absolutely. So he goes to church a few times, and we start talking right here in this man cave. He has a daughter the same age as my daughter. And we start having conversations like, man, I'm drinking too much, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, we need to stop drinking. So I go offshore, and then I find out when I'm offshore that he was killed in a car wreck drinking. So that really, you would have thought that would have stopped me right then, but it didn't. It slowed me down a whole bunch. And then fast forward, so I slow down drinking, fast forward. I'm on the rig again, back on the rig. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, texted me and said, Dad, I just want to let you know I got a little fender bender. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I was busy. I said, yeah, no big deal. And I said, are you all right? She said, yeah, okay. So when I get home, we'll get you a new car, whatever we got to do. So probably 20 minutes later, my wife texted me. She said, did your daughter tell you she was in an accident? I said, yeah, she told me. And she said, did she send you a picture of this? I said, no. So she said, let me send you a picture. So she sends me a picture of the car upside down, went off the road, slid upside down, and this happened at midnight. So I'm not trying to push anybody under the bus, but what's happening at midnight? She was drinking. That's what I taught her by having all these parties. That day, right there on that oil rig, I said, that's it. You know, what am I teaching these children? You know, even though we're having this life, we're having these parties, we're not fighting, you know, it's not like we're going to town. What am I teaching these kids by living this type of lifestyle? And I'm getting convictions from God. So I said, all right, God, that's it. I'm done. And that is when I ended it. So I have all my friends and family. This was a very difficult time in my life. So if I'm going to stop this drinking, I'm going to stop this partying. This is a place my friends come to every single weekend. I'm the person, this is the place they come to on Friday and Saturday and Sunday for us all to drink. So now I've got to tell them, hey, I'm not having a party this weekend. Well, then you get questions, why are you not having a party? You know, what's going on? So that was like a whole nother story in itself, but just, you're going to get, if you're in a struggle like me, I literally built a bar around my lifestyle of drinking. Everything we did was around drinking. So for God to step in and say, no, this is not what I blessed you with, it was a tough decision. It was not easy. So don't think, oh, it's very easy, I'm going to stop drinking. It was difficult. You know, it was a lot of difficult conversations. Our whole life got turned upside down, but it got turned upside down for the better. And so once I stopped drinking, things that I noticed in my life that I would have never noticed before, that if we wouldn't have changed, we were not having marital problems, we were not fighting, but that's exactly what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to be comfortable. And I guarantee you, and I don't know if Miss April agrees with me on this one, it would have cost me my marriage, because the devil doesn't want you to be married. He doesn't want you to have a strong Christian home, and he doesn't want you being a father to your children. And he will use alcohol. I guarantee you it would have cost me my marriage. We split up. How does it work? A couple gets divorced. The kids aren't with two parents anymore. That's not how God intended it, and I guarantee you it would happen to me. Thank God. God had mercy on me, turned me off that road, and here we are now.
And Randy has taught me a lot about the Bible. Like, I do read the Bible. I haven't read the whole Bible. He's like my second preacher. Joel preaches to me. Randy explains things to me. That is very big. Like, he has really taught me a lot about the Bible. Being closer to the children, having a better relationship as a family, that is 100% changed. Because if we are here having a cookout, a pool party, you know, your kids are doing their own thing and you're conversating and maybe drinking, the radio's up. It's not like that anymore. Now we're in the pool as a family, we're hearing our kids, talking to our kids, and we're just not showing them that that's the way anymore. We've always been great parents and have great children and great relationships, so we're not showing them that this is the only way that you can enjoy life.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would say that your children aren't going to do what you tell them. They're going to do what you do. And we literally were teaching our children, this is how you live your life. On the weekend, this is what you're going to do. Did we physically tell them that? No. But by us living that lifestyle, they were going to do exactly the same. And our oldest children started down that road and saying, well, this is how your weekends are supposed to look. You're supposed to drink. You're supposed to do this. And yeah, so it's just 100% the quality with the children is the biggest thing. And I would say my relationship with God, living outside of what my Creator wanted me to do, was not good for me. So 100% my relationship with God, the quality time I spend, not just at church, because there's way more outside. The church is great, and we love Joel, but your relationship with God has to be 7 days a week. And we were putting we were checking a box. Christians go to church on Sunday, check. And then, oh, you're supposed to pray. I wasn't doing anything. I went to church with a hangover and left church. Now my relationship with God is way better. I spend time talking to God. I pray more. I give thanks more. And I thank him for, hey, opening my eyes to how we were living wrong.
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel good about teaching the children different now, changing the direction that we were raising them in.
Back when I was drinking, and I do agree, I didn't want to admit this to myself, but it's absolutely true. And when you move away from a situation, it's much clearer. Drinking was my God. And to literally hear those words come out of my mouth now, it sounds so crazy. And I remember thinking, people, you hear stories about somebody sold their soul to be a rap star or whatever, or to be a millionaire for money or whatever. I was literally selling my soul for a Miller Lite. And I thought, like, this is absolutely crazy. Beer was everything to me, or not beer, but drinking was everything to me. It was my God. And people, when you're in that situation, you don't realize it. What am I putting first? Am I putting God first? Am I putting family first? No, I'm going to have my beer on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. And then wherever I have time after the beer, I'm going to fit things in. I'm going to fit my family in. I'm going to fit my kids in. I'm going to fit God in if I have time. I just had it totally backwards. Now, fast forward, we moved beer off the list completely. We put God on top. So God is first. Family is after that, and then it moves down from there. So you have to reprioritize everything, and God will help you do that. It is not going to be easy. If somebody's struggling with this, I can promise you it's not going to be easy, but is it worth it? It's 1,000% worth it. He wants to be first in your life. God's not going to be second to your family. He's not going to be second to your work, and he's definitely not going to be second to alcohol, beer, drugs, whatever your sin is. And we all have sin, so.
I agree.